We have a few laps for the end of a race that I think has proven spectacular in its ability to challenge these drivers. And I have no issues at all with Albert Park opening up the 2025 season. It has been absolutely dynamic. It's been full of character, and it has brought about a plethora of challenges for all teams, and it's managed to put some drivers that were in very highlighted positions out of those positions, but it still doesn't take away from what that driver has been able to do, and we'll talk more to that. But as it sits right now, it has also saved the ass of some drivers that are already a four-time world champion, because had it not been for that, he would not be where he is. But he is where he is because he was able to manage some conditions. So we can't take that away from him either. So we're going to watch these last few laps. We've got about 3 more laps left for the end of this race. I think Ferrari missed a wonderful opportunity. And we'll talk about that as well. But I hope they do not change anything else about Albert Park. I hope that they do not go and try to modify turn 6. Turn 6 is exactly perfect the way it is. It doesn't need to be changed. And these drivers will have to figure out how to do that, because Jack Doohan and several others, well, as you see, did not. Everybody that's even in the top 5 has had issues or has had a challenge of keeping the car on the track here at Albert Park. And now we're gonna have to see where Lando Norris is, since this is the Lando era when it comes to Max Verstappen. Big shout out to Paul. Said, "What's up, fans? Smash the like button. Peace and love. Ferrari plain Z's, man. Ferrari, the F in Ferrari stands for a lot." It's the first race, but they definitely fumbled it up. I don't think right now he needs to be talking to Lando. I think Lando is fully aware of the pace he has. The McLarens at one point in time had 3 seconds on Max Verstappen at some point during this race. So I think it's only disturbing your driver. I think it's causing a situation. Max gets a little squirrely right there. Lando just has to hold on for another lap, and he's going to win the first race of the season. And he's also going to establish with Max Verstappen that your car and you might not be enough this season. But Lando, I think we've seen Lando make mistakes, and we will see if he keeps the car on track. If he doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised. But here it is right here. All he has to do is stay cool and calm. That's all he has to do. Stay cool, calm. Don't get overexcited. Don't let the situation overwhelm you. You just have to drive the race that you've been driving, although we will talk a little bit about some situations that took place between the team, because it seems like McLaren may not even have themselves completely together when it comes to these two drivers. But, yeah, right now there's no way Max gets Norris if he just drives this ride. He doesn't make a mistake. If Norris doesn't make a mistake, Max is not catching him. Not at all. But if he makes some mistakes, Max will capitalize on that mistake, and he will get you, because Max doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And even in adverse situations, Max can manage to keep that car on track. He can manage to keep and hold things together until the storm passes, and then there's that. So that is a quality that Max Verstappen has shown, and that's not the car. That's actually just his ability to drive in those situations. When it comes down to wheel-to-wheel driving, I think we all know Max Verstappen is not the top-notch wheel-to-wheel driver. He's not that. Here we go. Lando. Just there we go. What did I say about the man? We're gonna talk about these rookies. No crashes, level out. Pia almost had a win. He was faster than Lando. The race was epic. The race is absolutely epic. And there's a lot here. Top three right there. George Russell, Max Verstappen, and Lando to take the win. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Top 10, Ferrari still managed to get the top 10. You know, that is what it is. At least they didn't fall out of the top 10, so they still do collect some vittle of points. I say some vittle of points because that's about what it is. And we're gonna definitely get into this. We're gonna definitely get into this. Nasty Stu Albon is I know, man. Think about that, bro. Albon fourth. I am loving that, man. I am absolutely loving that. Albon fourth in a Williams. That to me is absolutely on point. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I mean, Williams. Well, I mean, you can't hate that. You cannot hate that. And if you do hate that, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to you, honestly. I mean, Williams comes out in the first round, already looked good when it came to, free practice, came to qualifying. And here it is now, Paul in the super chats saying, actually a great race. Hopefully you feeling well. Too bad Ferrari made a bad call. Yeah, they did, for sure. For sure, Paul. They made an error. They made a bad mistake. And it cost them dearly. It really did. And let's get into the start of the race. Let's just get into starting the race, because as we come down, we'll start talking about some other things. Big shout out to Nasty Stu. Hulkenberg 7th. And at least now, mentioning that, Nasty Stu, we will know that Sauber won't go completely scoreless until the end of the year, right? They won't go completely scoreless. So they've managed to check that off. But if we talk about the start of this race, I mean, look at this. We have not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but 6 drivers did not make it to the end of this race. And when we talk about formation lap, this is Haas type situations. This is when Haas was out here. We would see them wreck in formation laps. That is what it brought back to me. Haas era. We got Duan wrecking out, and we saw that. Duan checks out right there, Sainz spins out, and Hajar just goes ahead and just says, you know what, I'm out of here on formation lap. So that leaves Lawson, Bortoleto, and Antonelli, and Ali. And Ali almost took Max Verstappen clean out, coming back out of those pits. There's not a lot to talk about when it comes to Ali Behrman right now. And there's not a lot to talk about when it comes to Haas right now. Haas are fortunate that 6 cars went out, because honestly, I think they would be 19 and 20. Only thing that probably could have saved them from 19 and 20 is maybe nothing, honestly. I don't even think Bortoleto, if he finishes the race, if they in, Sainz comes up, Haas are definitely going out. And definitely it's also funny because you're going to see a lot of idiots. You're going to see a lot of dumbasses that will probably miss out on the whole big picture, criticize Lewis Hamilton, but Leclerc is only 1 spot up and Pia's right there. It's clear that also Hamilton's in the top 10, while we saw Alonso spin the hell out. So to see that nobody is talking about Alonso spinning out, he ain't washed. What is that? I don't know what that is. We got Liam Lawson. We got Sainz spinning out. It's just crazy. You're going to see a lot of idiots do that, and it is what it is. We know right now, Lewis Hamilton, there's definitely some ingratiating that's going to need to go on with Ferrari and Lewis Hamilton. You can clearly tell the engineer not knowing. Galactus says Ferrari talking to Sir Lewis Hamilton on hards would have won. And, yeah, I agree with that. I think that Ferrari made a bad decision. Let's just keep it real. Ferrari made a bad decision as a team. Lewis Hamilton tried to tell him something, and then they decided to get back with him. And his engineer is going to have to learn that there were several years of experience where you know when to say something to Lewis and when not to say something to Lewis. And if you are saying something to Lewis, it's something that he can take and actually use. And there's going to take some time for that. There's also going to take some. They also had a sync gear issue with Lewis Hamilton in this race. That was crazy. Mechanic says, let's ignore the idiots in the chat. Right. So it probably already is some idiots in the chat. There's probably already some idiots in the chat. DG Big Blue says Jordan Russell with another lucky podium. Really, if you think about it, even Max Verstappen is lucky. Max Verstappen is even lucky to be where he is. Inclement weather just brings about some very challenging things. And it brings, Max Verstappen is lucky. Max Verstappen was getting gapped by 3 seconds or more by McLaren's. Yuki was in the top 5. This weather turned a lot of things upside down, shook it up, and then just a lot of things came out and some things didn't. But this is what I am going to do. And this is what I'm not going to allow people to do. I'm not going to allow people to overlook that Red Bull, even in this race, I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the season, but you're eating crow pie right now. You're eating Yuki baked crow pie, okay? Because you passed Yuki over. You put him with a teammate who spun out. You put him with a teammate who spun out on formation lap. You got nothing for me there. Then you want to talk about Liam Lawson, who over leaps Yuki because of Red Bull, puts Lim in the other Red Bull. And where is Liam Lawson? Where is he? Where is he? He's out. He is out. It is Yuki and Max Verstappen that should be in the 2 Red Bulls. And you're going to have a lot of dumbasses once again. You're going to have a lot of idiots. You're going to have a lot of racist people saying that Yuki's not good enough. Well, I guess Liam Lawson isn't either. I know Liam Lawson didn't drive on his track. Okay, well, if he's as good as you said he is, because you put him where he is, he should be able to adapt enough not to do what we just saw. Okay? I'm just going to keep it a buck. So I'm going Yuki. I hope Yuki keeps going. It would have been beyond awesome to see Yuki finish in the top 5, but I am more than pleased to see Williams finish in the top 5 with Albon. Just think about that. Think about that. Albon is in the top 5 in a very challenging race. I don't know what it's going to be when everything's sunny, everything's dry, all the plans can run more accurate to how they assume or not. Humpback coming back in here. I see you. I think a handful of drivers today were the victims. Yes, I do agree with that, of bad weather and strategy. Yuki is definitely one of them. I 100% agree. Yuki is definitely one of them that got caught out in this situation, caught the bad end of this situation. Definitely. Humpback, I fully agree with you. Tharka says, bad decision, Ferrari and Hamilton. You had them. They did. And Ferrari fumbled it up. But let's keep it real. This is something that I talked to you all about, that although Lewis Hamilton's coming in, is Ferrari going to fix what they typically do wrong? And here it is, the first race of the season. Even though we didn't hear strategy plans A through Z or A through Z, they still failed to diagnose the situation and figure out the right pieces to put the puzzle together. And because of that, their drivers tumbled down the order, both Charles Leclerc and Hamilton. That's what happened. Mechanic Mercedes says, bro, the race was gifted to man. And you know what? You know what they say, right? You can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink it. I mean, they just decided to just dehydrate themselves and just die of heat exhaustion. And then let's let's also Antonelli. Congratulations, finishing in the top 5 as a rookie, first race, and thank you for not wrecking the car. Thank you for at least probably Galactus can applaud you for this first race. You still got 2 more to prove yourself. Everybody has 2 more to prove themselves, but you started out pretty nice here. Stroll in the top 10, very fortunate because of the situation. He gets to be there. And still Ferrari and Pia, man, listen, I'm going to say this. Piastri having the motive, the determination to not give up while spinning out in the wet grass, managing to, guess what? Managing to do the smart thing. A lot of drivers want to continue to try to go forward, and it's not the best decision. Piastri knowing weight over rear wheels, not trying to push my nose, but let me pull myself back, and managing to get that car out of the grass was absolutely beautiful. Was absolutely a display of I'm not going to give up. NFG, never effing give up. And that's what he didn't do. And because he didn't give up, he still got into the points. He still got into the points. And I'm going to say this as well, because we will have I do plan on us having a Wolves Den today, later on today, much later on today. So be aware of that for when that may happen. But how about McLaren probably showing us that they still don't quite understand how to deploy team orders? Piastri was faster. Lando was blocking him up. And then they say, don't change positions. We want to get past. I forget who it was at that time. Maybe it might have been Ocon or somebody. It was somebody. They were going to pass. Self-Made Mechanic says, Team LH, we tried though. Good job today. We have work to do. Ferrari, pick your game up. They got to pick their game up. They got to figure that out. Buck Dollars Puro in the house. When Oscar got close to Norris, his team, thank you. Maintain your position. That's some BS. That's what I was about to get to. That's what I was about to get to, Porto. Because that was BS. Paul in there says, surprise, you know Zed. My father was a radio operator, and his call sign was Nancy 3 Yankee Mike Zed. Hey, I do I do know Zed and Zulu. You got me joking, bro. Yeah, for sure. I know the Zed. So, man, I'm fully on board what Buck Dollar just said. It was absolutely BS. And McLaren did nothing there but try to save Lando. And I'm going to tell you what I think that did. I think that disturbed Oscar. And I think Oscar at that point in time felt a little bit perturbed. And I think it showed in his driving. I think that he took you for full faith. And remember what I said. I know they just signed Oscar, extended him, and it's probably good they did that. And I think they did that for a reason, because I think McLaren knew we know who we're dealing with. And this season might get a little bit crazy. Let's get him on contract. Let's extend him, because we don't want him to jump ship too early. And that's what they did. And here it is in this race. Oscar's faster. He's hunting down Lando, and they disturb his concentration and also go in to basically tell him, no, I know we said we were going to do this, but we're not going to do it right now. You're going to have to hold. And it's only when the gap extends itself that it's okay, you're free to race. Nothing really changed from when you told me I had to stay in position to now we're free to race. What are we doing? I'm starting to think that this Lando era thing is real. But if this is what they're going to do, and it results in Lando getting a driver's championship because they choose him as the number one driver, hey, I asked that you all do that, but you said you were going to play it fair. You said you were going to play it right up and down, and I can't really say that that's what you did here. I'm looking at this right now as you did some tomfoolery. A little bit of tomfoolery, McLaren. Just saying. Good win. But there was some foolery there. Definitely some foolery there. Also, if we go on here and we look, let's just spend a little bit more time with Williams. I think this is a very positive thing for them, aside from Sainz not finishing the race. And I think that had Sainz been able to finish, but did it to his own detriment. It would have been the only thing that would have made this better is both Williams cars being there. And I dare to say, I could say it, but then again, maybe not. Albon in 4th, Sainz probably 6th or 5th. 083 says McLaren biggest weakness is their management of their drivers. I don't think this will end well. I don't think so either. Because I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a situation, and I think we all would kind of agree that Oscar is the type of man that's going to go rogue. Oscar's the dude that will go rogue. Oscar's that guy that will say, okay, this is how y'all going to do it. No, I don't hear you. I don't hear those team orders. We're free to race. I'm racing. And that's what's going to happen. And now you got not cooperation from both drivers, but you have a disagreement between each drivers. You're going to have both drivers, at least one driver, going at Lando. And I'm going to tell you right now, Lando's not going to handle that well. Lando is not going to handle it well. He's shown that he doesn't mentally handle pressure well, and that's going to be a big issue. They better, and I think that they better get this together, because you brought this on yourself, McLaren. You're the one that said they're both free to race, and then you go and you take actions that say they're not free to race. What that's not gonna go well. And then if we go right here, let's go Insured Frames in the super chat. What's up, Insured Frames? My take, I think McLaren are trying to put their eggs into Lando Norris for basket, trying to avoid each driver taking points off each other due to MV1 challenge. And you might be right. You may be right. You might be completely right. But the one thing they need to do is keep it a buck with Oscar. Keep it a buck with Oscar. So he clearly understands where and what we are doing. But if you tell Oscar one thing and then you pull the rug from underneath him, you're gonna get a murderous Jekyll and Hyde Oscar. That's what you're gonna get. Same Oscar that put Alpine out on Front Street when they tried to play him. That's the same guy you got. You got a dude who says, if you're gonna tell me this, then let's do that. If you're not gonna do that, but you're gonna tell me this, I'm gonna give you that. That's what it is. He's not a bad guy. He just wants you to keep it real with him. He just wants you to keep it a buck. He wants you to do what you say you're going to do. That's what Oscar wants you to do. And right now, in this situation, in this race with McLaren, they showed Oscar that is not what they were going to do. And I don't think that's going to go well. And let's go into Ferrari. Let's go into Ferrari. Ferrari, still top 10. I don't think there's anything that needs to be said about Hamilton that can't be said about Charles if you're going to say something foolish there. Both drivers fall down the order because their team essentially failed them. It's official, the young guns time. Man, I'm going to say the young gun time. I'm going to just limit that to Piastri, because if we look at the rest of these young guns on the track, we're talking about Liam Lawson out of the race, Bortoletto out of the race, Doohan out of the race, Hadjar out of the race. Only 2 rookies to finish the race, Ollie Behrman, which I really didn't think he'd finish, and Antonelli finishing in the top 5 is a very good first finish for him. These other young guns definitely got a lot to prove. Definitely, for sure, got a lot to prove. But there are some things that Ferrari are going to have to work on if they're going to, it's already, you changed 90% of the car. Cool. All right. Testing might not have showed you everything. Cool. That's all right. Now you're in the season. We are not expecting Ferrari to have situations where it's the team that are hampering the drivers. That's not what we want to see, Ferrari. That's not at all what we want to see. We do not want to come in here and see that you have the lack of ability to give your drivers good strategy so that they can do the best that they want to do. If they make an error, let that be at the feet of them. Don't let us have to look back at this race and say, yeah, Ferrari as a strategist team screwed it up. yeah, Hamilton told you this and you said, you know what, we'll get back to you on that, and you screwed up. And speaking about Hamilton right now, there's gonna have to be conversations to be had between Hamilton and his engineer for a little while until they get things worked out. And I'm talking about personal knowledge things. Okay, we have a relationship between Bono and Lewis Hamilton for a long time, and I only think that Mercedes gave Bono that promotion to keep him, to retain him, to keep him from going with Lewis Hamilton. I think without that promotion, Bono is gone. He's with Lewis at Ferrari. Mechanic Mercedes says Lewis cussing out his race engineer was man, a long beep. Yeah, it was. Bro, don't talk to me right now about silly things. Don't talk to me about silly things right now. And he's going to have to understand that. And it's going to have to give him some time. It's the first race. We're going to have to give him some time. Y'all going to have to mind there might be some tornadoes, thunderstorms in the area. So if everything shuts down, that's because power's gone. But he's going to have to give him some time. 083 says Zach Brown's biggest mistake is not understanding Oscar Piastri. I think he will walk away from McLaren if the BS gets a zero. I agree. I do agree. Oscar is not here to be a second place driver by default. He's not here for that. And if you tell Oscar that he has every right to be the best him, and then he finds out you're going to do things to keep him from being the best him, yes, Oscar will become a handful in a very cool, calm, collective way. And those are the worst kind of people. You know, people that kind of like look at you like, all right, I got you. Might want to chill, bro. Might want to watch out. Maybe you should leave the party. Maybe you should dip for a minute. Maybe you should leave the party before he walks out the door. That's probably the best thing. Leave the party before Oscar walks out the door, because if he walks out of the door before you, I don't know what you're about to walk into. You should probably leave before he leaves. We're going to see what happens. It's early. It's the first race. We're going to see what happens. And I think what we can take from this race is Yuki Tsunoda is definitely improved from last season to this season. He's definitely improved. And I'm hoping to see more. I'm hoping to see more of Yuki for sure. I'm hoping to see Yuki improve. I'm hoping to see Yuki make Red Bull look crazy. That's what I'm hoping to see. I am hoping to see Yuki make Red Bull look absolutely crazy. I want him to show the world what Red Bull has done is beyond egregious. That they have chosen to give me 4 teammates in which I have outperformed, including the guy you have at Red Bull with Max Verstappen. And I want Yuki to show the world that this is the type of team Red Bull is. A team that has a sprinkled throughout their organization of racism, a team that is biased and discriminates, a team that asked me to do this, I did it, and they still said, screw you. They asked me to do that, I did it, they still said, screw you. They asked me to do this, I did it again, and they still said, screw me. They said that this guy was going to be my team leader. He was going to be the number 1 driver. I outperformed him. They said that Danny Rick was going to come back, and this was the guy they wanted to eventually go to Red Bull. I outperformed him. Then you gave me Liam Lawson intermittently through the season and through last 6 races. I still outperformed him. Now I have Hadjar, who can't even make a formation lap. I outperformed him this race, and I got Liam Lawson, who can't finish a race. I outperformed him this race. What else does Yuki need to do to get the respect that he should already have to get his opportunity in a Red Bull car? If he can't get it now, they're not going to give it to him. And if they're not going to give it to him, it definitely says a lot of how we have already seen Red Bull and how we look at Red Bull. Just 100%. And I'm going to tell you something else. Let's talk about Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen right now is starting off the season the way the last season ended. Without this inclement weather, that gap was like 3 seconds. That gap was like 3 seconds. And I'm talking about right after the safety car. Right after the safety car, after the restart, the McLarens gap Max Verstappen like that. If that's how the season's going to look, and you got Albon coming up, you got Yuki coming up, you got Peel back in the mix if he don't make. You're not looking at a driver's championship if that's the way it's going to continue. Like I said, it's early. I never count Max Verstappen out on a fast lap for quali. I don't count him out in any race. But when I was watching this race and I'm looking at these times and I'm looking at these gaps, oh, yeah, McLaren strong. McLaren strong. Red Bull still strong. Norris getting it on. Pia is definitely going to get it on. Max right here is the gift receiver of this race being coldly crazy. But I want to say this. In order to receive a gift, you got to be there, right? You got to be in line. You got to be somewhere in the vicinity. Max made sure to take care of that car. He made sure not to have that car spin off track. He did a good job at that. And I think that's something that you look back and you kind of still have to say, right? Even if opportunities look crazy and things were happening, if you don't keep it together, then you still can't benefit from that. Yuki just got caught bad, but this race in all dry conditions, Max Verstappen might not even be on podium, to be for real. Buck Dollars Pro say, Jay, McLaren wings still not closing all the way. You know what? I think they're going to have to check that with the standards and see how it goes, because there might be a certain stipulation on how much gap can be there when it's closed. And I think that's something that was already looked at. We got to look into that, Buck Dollars, for sure. I don't think it's about Yuki's performance. Max will always have a yes man number 2 driver. Here we go. OG Zilla about to hit the nail on the head. You're about to hit the nail on the head. Number 2 driver next to him. I don't think Yuki would give way like Red Bull would demand. And that is a great point. Absolutely great point. Absolute great point. That is it. That is what they don't want next to Max Verstappen, is somebody who really will give him a challenge, somebody who's not going to sit down for a number 2 driver. DJ Big Blue say Yuki sent DR and SP into early retirement. Yo, Nick DeVries too. Damn, that's funny, bro. For sure. For sure. Humpback says Yuki gets to lead his own team right now, though. But he's been doing that. He's been doing that, Humpback. Something we won't get being with Max's teammate. That's a good point, too. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. But I will say this. It still has to be a little bit irritating to be passed over, though. We got to feel some kind of way if you're getting passed over. You got to feel some kind of way if you hear that said person is earning this because they did that, and I done more. So why am I not getting my opportunity? Because I didn't give Perez the middle finger. If you need me to give Perez the middle finger, be a little bit disrespectful. If that's what you need me to do, I can do that. If that's what you want me to do. If that's what you say it's going to take to get the seat, you just need me to be disrespectful to a teammate? Is that what you need? Because that can happen. But yeah, I think it's hogwash. But that is a fair point. That yeah, Yuki definitely has the ability to lead his team, and he's going to have an ability to lay down a body of work that's going to make a lot of other teams probably be like, I wonder what he can do with us. But what might be crazy, if Yuki is higher up in the driver standings by the end of the season over Liam Lawson and Hadjar, crow pie for everybody here. I had special crow pie flown in for all of y'all. All of y'all. Eat it up. Yum, 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 yum. Eat it up. Alonso spins out. Yeah, Alonso spins out. That's all I got to say about that. Alonso spins out. Haas is back to their ways. I wonder how Baraka's feeling right now. Haas looking like Haas. Like I spell Haas Hass. Haas is us. And we'll see how that's going to go. OG Zilla says, I bet Stroll and Hulk smile is ear to ear right now. Right. They are loving it right now. Loving it right now. We're gonna see if that continues, though. You know what they say: the sun shines on a dog's ass every now and then, and that's definitely what Hulk and Stroll got. We know that's not gonna be typical for Stroll, but if it is, hey, congratulations, you turned the leaf. These rookies, Bortoletto opened the door, gave it up right there, but he's not the only one. So we'll see. And then, other than that, there's really nothing. There's really nothing to talk about too much more. I mean, Gasly, where he is, got crashed out. Gasly's out of the points. We'll see what he does later in the season. I think now we get a race where it's completely dry to give us a fair observation and sense of where these teams and where these cars and where these drivers are with their machinery really are. But I think right now there's going to be a lot of criticism flying around about McLaren. I don't think so much about Ferrari because I think people are used to Ferrari doing what they've done today. And I told a lot of you all that it doesn't matter about Hamilton coming in, that if Ferrari is Ferrari still, and it's going to take some time to change those habits. But I think a lot of criticism is about to come Zach Brown and McLaren's way. I think a lot of people are going to pay attention to that phantom call as it was whole position until this. So Zach Brown, I hope you got all your answers ready. McLaren, I hope you got your ducks in a row for your media coverage. I want to hear what Piastri feels. I want to see his face, look at his body language, not just what he says, and see how he may have kind of interpreted that for himself. Because he's cool and calm and collective, but you can tell a lot by Piastri's facial expressions and his body language about how he really feels about a situation. He's just a real person, honestly. Piastri's just a real person. So, we'll check that out. Let me know how you all feel about this race. Wolves, we will be in the Wolves Den, so you'll be able to let me know personally how you feel about all of this, including Ferrari, McLaren, Yuki, the whole thing. So get your points together. I want to see plenty of people raising their hand to speak in that hour that we're in there. There should be a lot to say about this race. This was a phenomenal event. It was very challenging. It changed up. It gave it a first round. No complaints about that. Keep it on the schedule. Definitely, for sure. And other than that, let's just see how things go. It's gonna be a long week. I think it's best for us to close out with a Yuki photo. OG Zilla says that I wonder if that was stipulation in that $20 million contract. Maybe. You might have another point right there, OG Zilla. That might have been a stipulation. I wonder if that is true because, before that, Piastri was saying that there's no contract that says he's number 2 driver. We're both like number 1s, but I wonder if that new contract has some verbiage in there that may have kind of hamstrung Oscar Piastri in said time because he did on the radio. I believe he did. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe when they gave that order, he said, "I am faster, but okay," type situation. I think he made sure to make sure that they acknowledge I'm the faster driver, but all right, if this is what we're gonna do, if this is what we're gonna do, okay, I'm the faster driver, but if this is how you want to run this little game plan, all right, we can do that. And like I said, I think that disturbed Piastri. I think you can maybe he would have made those mistakes anyway. Maybe he wouldn't have. Maybe he wouldn't have made those mistakes. Maybe after that call, Oscar wasn't feeling it. And if that is the case, and Oscar knows that, and that's something that he feels within himself, I think that's where a problem will come in. I think that's where you're looking at a potential situation. And that's not going to be a good situation at all. So we're going to see how this unfolds. And it's not going to go good if Piastri's not feeling it. All right. So like I said, I will schedule the Wolves Den. I'll put the post up, let you all know the time, be there because I'm really interested in what you all have to say. I think this was a phenomenal event. There was a lot of things that we had to talk about in here. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what y'all got to say. That's what I got to say. I'm definitely looking forward to that because there's so much in this race that we could talk about for sure. All right. So peace and love. I got to go ahead. Let me get a little rest. I already have been up for a long time. I don't even need to calculate the hours. So for a long time. So peace and love, everybody. OG Zilla, big shout out to Humpback, big shout out to Buck Dollar Puto, DG Big Blue, 083, Nasty Stu, the Mechanic, Insure Frames, all of y'all, man, supporting the Rocker, and who else was in there? Galacticus was in there. You know, he giving these rookies some time. Nasty Stu, I see you in here as well doing your thing. So we will see y'all soon. We will talk later on this afternoon. Big shout out to Williams, top 5 with Albon, and big shout out to Yuki. All right, peace and love. We out.